What's good, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Christian here again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about 5 things that are needed to make DLC 3 a success. Okay, DLC 3 is coming out, and as we know, DLC 3 is very important because sparking is so dead that I can't even get footage to show you guys, so I'm on custom battles today. It's that bad, guys. You get on in the mornings and you can't find a match even if you try. So I'm gonna make this list to see if DLC 3 can be a success for Sparking Zero and kind of revive this game a little bit. Okay, so number 1 is that we need a DAIMA themed map added to the game, okay, with the DLC. And specifically, we need Goma's Castle. Okay, we need Goma's Castle because we know Goma's gonna be added and Super Saiyan 4 Goku is going to be added, and we need a place for those characters to have their canon fight, and we need the castle to be in the trailer to give some hype to this DLC. Okay, it's a damn crime that a year has passed and we're on DLC 3 at this point and no new maps have been added to the game at this point. In my opinion, every DLC should have come out with a map that corresponds to the characters that are being added in the DLC, and in this case, the map that needs to be added is Goma's Castle, like I mentioned. The hype for Sparking Zero is at an all-time low, but imagine if the trailer comes out and it starts with a 3DP version of Goma fighting and struggling in his castle, and then he goes ahead and transforms using the Oculus into a 7DP buff Goma and starts giving Goku the hands. Okay, then the trailer goes into SS3 DAIMA Goku and Majin Buu teaming up to fight the buff version of Goma, finishing off with an adult SS3 Vegeta that comes in, and then all of a sudden Goma goes into a 9DP giant, ending with Goku going into his SS4 9DP form with the red fur, and that canon SS4 Goku would bring a lot of hype to that trailer. You're gonna tell me people ain't gonna be hyped for that trailer right there, especially after finally seeing the new map that was added that corresponds to the actual canon fight after all these months. I'm telling you guys, characters alone at this point ain't gonna bring the hype, but seeing these characters in a new setting will definitely bring 10 times more attention and excitement for the DLC than just dropping characters alone. Okay, so number 2 is unlockable rewards behind good PvE modes. Okay, whether it be Legendary Warrior Face-Off or custom episodes from the devs, we need incentives to revisit these long forgotten modes. Okay, in my opinion, Spike is not being creative enough with their PvE content to justify playing these without incentive, but at the very least they could just give us some recolored costumes or some costumes as a reward for playing these things. And I've said it before, but even I would play Legendary Warrior Face-Off if there was a cool costume to unlock at the end from grinding the mode. Okay, custom episodes from the devs are usually pretty trash compared to the custom battles that we get here, for example, but they could be a nice excuse to put accessories and costumes behind these things to give us an incentive to kind of revisit these modes. Even as a PvP sweat, I would get excited if they finally show off some collectible accessories or costumes in the DLC 3 trailer, but we'll see if they finally listen to feedback and provide some content like that. Okay, so number 3, an important thing that needs to be added to the DLC is unique and powerful skill abilities for the DLC characters. Okay, usually a lot of the DLC characters that come out end up being kind of generic and go relatively unused. For example, Pansy and Glorio. And I've said it before, but successful DLC characters have to influence the meta somewhat, or at the very least be able to compete against some of these meta characters. Okay, and one of the easiest way to achieve this is to give these characters unique stock abilities that are not found anywhere else. I would rather the DLC characters come out slightly OP and then have to be toned down later than have them come out so undercooked and so underwhelming like Glorio, Pansy. You know, the Gammas when they came out went relatively unused, And I want Goma and SS4 Goku to be completely busted in comparison to those DLC characters. I want Goma to be a 3 DP character that's able to go 9 as a giant, and I want him to have debuff abilities in his 3 DP form to give him some unique characteristics for his magic powers. I want Goku to have a unique explosive wave that costs 3 skill points but gives you a buff after you use it. Stuff like that. Combine abilities, make them unique, give them unique animations and transformations, so these DLC characters can stand alone and kind of influence the game a lot more than they have previously. I want powerful DLC characters on the level of a Beast Gohan or Orange Piccolo with unique properties. That would really make this DLC stand out compared to DLC 2, for example. And number 4 of the things that need to be added to this DLC is minimal changes to game mechanics. So as we know, we finally reached the point where Sparking Zero feels playable. It feels like a finished product. It's not perfect, but it doesn't feel unfinished like before. So what I don't want is to ruin the progress that was made in the last patch with excessive changes. Okay, the changes now need to be a little bit more restrained, more surgical. Okay, so one thing that I would like to be addressed is the Z-Burst dash loops. Okay, Z-Burst dash loops are too cheap and too easy to perform. It's way too cheap to just Ki Blast reset an opponent from across the map at the moment. So I would like that to be addressed. Okay, a slight increase to Ki Drain when Z-Burst dashing would nerf that option, but it would also make androids extremely busted. So I don't think that's a good answer. So what do we do? What should we do? In my opinion, a good fix to the Z-Burst dash loop would just be to extend the frames that are able to be super countered on the Z-Burst dash hit. Okay, make it a bit easier to super counter the Z-Burst dash hit. That way it's kind of risky to perform, because if you Z-Burst dash, you're spending Ki, so you might put yourself at Ki disadvantage, and then the opponent has an easier time super countering that hit, making it, you know, a high risk option and less attractive to perform. I think nerfing the Ki requirement to Z-Burst dash previously made the game less fun, so I don't think we should go back to that option. But you could buff the counter like I mentioned in my other videos and make that offensive option just less attractive. Okay, I would also like super counter wars to kind of die at this moment. I feel like super counters are too prevalent in the game and they kind of stall and slow the game down, so it causes a lot of issues at the moment, especially with androids and their Ki recharge. And instead of kind of nerfing their Ki recharge, what we could do is that we can make 2 clashing super counters just reset to neutral, indirectly nerfing the androids finally and removing a stall tactic from DP battles and kind of quickening the pace of matches and placing an emphasis more on the neutral game. Okay, our matches will be faster and less reliant on knockback chains and more on good neutral play, which in my opinion is good for the game. Ki advantage will also take more of a back seat in this scenario, and we can finally concentrate on actually fighting and having agency over the game instead of always focusing on having Ki advantage and kind of stalling until we have the Ki advantage to finally approach. Okay, also I want shotgun Ki Blast and unique Ki Blast to get a buff. I get why they needed to be nerfed, but I think they went too far in my opinion. And now that the game is in a good spot, we can add some of those options back. For example, sword slashes can be buffed because now they can be vanished. Okay, so by buffing them in tracking and speed, it allows for more combo potential, and it already has a defensive option to kind of balance it with the ability to vanish them. Okay, and shotgun Ki Blast can be buffed slightly now in damage because they're unable to Ki Blast reset with a shotgun Ki Blast. So when it comes to damage, a lot of the time shotgun Ki Blast just go underused because resetting with a normal Ki Blast is just superior at the moment. So with these changes, I would actually say DLC 3 would be a success. Okay, because you're adding casual content, you're adding maps, you're adding accessories, you're making the DLC characters interesting. And when it comes to the patch notes, I just want the patch notes to be more surgical and more restrained going forward. Now that the game is in a good spot, we don't want to regress the game back to an unfinished, unbalanced version of itself. Okay, so let's just be restrained with the patches. Let's add some casual content, some grindable content for casual players, and I think DLC 3 can be a success. Now, do I think they're gonna do all of these things? Well, I'm very skeptical. Probably not, but this is my wish list. So these are the 4 things that I want DLC 3 to achieve. Okay, let me know what you think. What would you like to be changed in the game? What would you like to be added in the game? And I'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.